Hello, I'm Joe with Public Land Bucks. Got a lot of, had an email of some questions, and I'm going to do a video on the email questions that was emailed to me, and touch on some things today. Maybe help some folks kill some deer. What's some of the questions?
Okay. The first one's on scent control. What's your take on scent control, things such as cover scents and stuff?
I don't believe in them. The only way you can be totally scent free is to hunt with the wind in your face, hunt downwind from whatever you're trying to hunt. Can't really rely on some type of scent. It's they got all kind of stuff at Walmart and every other hunting store says 100% effective. The only way to be 100% effective is to just stay downwind of what you're trying to hunt. As far as like tobacco use goes in the woods, I wouldn't recommend smoking at all. Not deer hunting. The deer's key sense is its nose. They do have decent eyes, but it's mainly their nose. You get past your nose and you got them. Things such as cigarettes, out smoking, and I don't recommend it. You can kill some deer with a cigarette hanging out of your mouth, but it's going to be a spike or a 2-year-old, or it's not going to be the animal I'm hunting. And the only way you're really going to kill a monster buck with a cigarette in your mouth is if you're just pure lucky. I don't agree with smoking and hunting. Dipping, I ain't tobacco. I just don't want tobacco around me, period, if I'm trying to kill a deer. Most of the time, as soon as you walk in the woods and you set up to hunt, within 24 hours, every deer that's in that area already knows that you've been there, and they already know that you're there. It don't take them long. They come through the next day, your smell, they won't, they already know you're there. So, you're walking around with big rubber boots on, they can smell that rubber, they know that's human scent. I've had people ask me, you think deer can tell human pee from deer pee? Well, yeah. When they walk up and they smell that pee, they also smell that rubber that's on the bottom of your boots. They're like, that's a man, stuff like that. But as far as scent control goes, I don't do anything special to try to cover my scent. I just stay downwind of what I'm trying to hunt, and I always hunt with the wind in my face or crosswind. You can kill some deer on crosswind too. What you got next here?
Camouflage, different patterns. Is there a specific one you like over the other? Or?
Not really. I know deer see in the blue spectrum, so I wouldn't suggest walking out in the woods with a blue suit on, because you're going to get spotted pretty quick by the deer. They see blue really well. Blue kind of stands out to them more than any other color. But any of it's good camouflage. The old army camouflage is just as good. You don't have to have $1 million hunting suit to kill a deer. You just want to camo yourself. If you're up in a tree stand, especially bow hunting, that's the main thing. Keep your face covered if you can. The big old doe, she'll pick you off like that right there. Especially when you're trying to draw on her or a buck or whatever. They will see you up there. And camouflage is key if you're going to be in a tree. In my book it is, because your silhouette is going to be right there with the sky behind you. The more you can blend in with them trees, the better off you'll be. Same as hunting on the ground, camouflage would be pretty important. I think so, yeah.
Okay, what about trail cameras? How do you use those efficiently? And
The only way to really use a trail camera efficiently is you go out and you hang a trail cam in the woods today, and you put it over a pile of corn. When a week goes by, you're going to have to go back and put more corn out. Well, there just goes more human scent. putting more scent in the woods by using cameras, by using bait. You're just adding fuel to the fire of scaring off this big buck you got. Okay, say you got your corn pile and you hang up your camera. You're going to be anxious to see what's on that camera. You go check your camera, man, there's a big one on there, the whopper. He's sitting there eating your corn, you're all excited. And, man, look at this. You go show all your friends, look what I got on camera. And you're going to keep on repeatedly going in there, checking that camera. And every time you go in there, you're leaving your scent. Sooner or later, you're going to have him starting out in the summer on daytime pictures. Then all of a sudden he's going to start coming later and later and later and later, and next thing you know he's going to be there at 3 o'clock in the morning, and then next thing you know you're not going to see him at all. The reason why that deer just disappears like that, they'll all the good sized bucks, I'm going to say at least 3.5 to 4 years old, they're going to leave when they start smelling you. They'll tolerate human scent enough to eat, and to be around other deer, but they get too much human scent, it's over with. They're gone. And if I was going to use a trail camera, I like the cell phone cameras. You can take them and actually leave them in the woods, and they send the pictures to you, and they can last up to months. But you're not going to be able to put this over a bait pile, because to be effective, you're going to have to go back and add bait, and every time you throw that corn out there, there's scent. You're scattering scent. I just ain't had much success with them, other than just taking them and leaving them and using them for inventory on deer. You can take one and set it up in the woods and leave it all summer, go back right before you're ready to hunt, and check that camera that way, and that's the only true way. That, or get a cell phone camera. Anything else?
Tree stands, what do you think about those?
Tree stand is very, very important toolbox deer hunting. But you only hunt out of a tree stand. Don't hunt out of a tree stand, the same stand in the same location every single day. It's the worst thing you can do. That's there. You're just applying scent. Same with checking the cameras and doing the corn. You're just applying scent. You're just educating that deer. And these permanent stands, I've been sitting in them, and deer walk out and just look right at you like that right there. They see you, automatically got you pegged. They know where they're at. It don't take them long to learn. But, hey, there's a man sitting there. He's sitting up in the tree. And then especially if you're up there and you get hungry or thirsty, you got a donut laying over here, or if you're a smoker, you're going to have cigarette butts and everything else. It's just, you're not going to be that successful. But good successful ways to hunt tree stands is you got more than one stand, set them up on different winds. Like have a stand for a northeast wind, or northwest wind, or north wind. Have a stand set up for the south wind. Things like that make you more, stealthier and a better hunter. And help you kill bigger bucks. Me, myself, I'm more mobile. I don't want to hunt the same stand but one time. I'm going to hunt one time. I'm going in there one time to kill one deer. If I don't kill him that day, I'm moving. I'm going to a different spot. I'm taking the stand with me if I decide to hunt in a tree stand. If not, I'll hunt on the ground. I don't hunt the same spot ever. I may hunt that spot later on, but I'm not going to hunt it 2 days in a row, or 3 days in a row, or a month in a row. I just don't do that. That's how I've been successful. Killing bigger bucks is staying on the go, staying on the move. And get you yourself a portable tree stand, or you can get a little hang-on ladder stand, or hang-on stands with the climbing sticks. Those are ideal too. Some guys hunt out of saddles. Those are ideal. Yeah, you want to move around and keep yourself in the game. What else you got?
What about ground blinds?
Ground blinds?
Mm-hmm.
Man. To me, a ground blind is pretty much the same thing as having a permanent stand. You You go in there and you get in this ground blind. You're just leaving ground scent. Especially when you leave after hunting that blind the first time, the deer's going to walk by it and they're automatically going to say there's something not right about that. There's human scent right here. And it's just going to kind of stay inside the blind. And they can smell that stuff. Now, if you use a blind and you move it around a lot, like say I was talking about being mobile with tree stands, you can be mobile with a ground blind the same way as you can a tree stand. And I think, you can be really effective that way. But you're always going to be on the ground, so that's why it's called a ground blind. But that's the only way I'd use a ground blind, is if I was I'd have to have one that I could pick up and move around quite a bit. I wouldn't want to sit in the same spot every single time. Or maybe you could have 7 or 8 different blinds if you've got enough money and you could cover out a wide area, and then you could hunt different locations and use the same blinds and only hunt them before it rains, such and such, to keep the scent washed out. That's my take on them right there. I don't use them. I don't care nothing for them. What else you got?
Early season whitetails. How do you hunt deer in early season?
In early season, I key on food sources. Main thing I like to hunt is cornfields and bean fields, and I don't necessarily hunt on top of those. I don't hunt over them. I hunt away. And I try to catch those deer trails that's going back into the bed, and I'll set up on the bed and I'll catch the deer coming to the corn and the beans. And you can be real successful doing that, especially during the early season. Sometimes in the early season, there'll be a few acorns on the ground, but most of the time, it's not there, not just yet. I like to hunt like in October, late October, early November, when the acorns start falling, then you can really key in on those. That's probably the deer's favorite food in my eyes, is acorns. But early season, you want to definitely key in on food sources, because they're trying to fatten up for the winter and get ready for the rut. And food is the key in the early season. What else you got?
Okay, same scenario, but let's talk about mid-season. How do you hunt on mid-season?
Mid-season whitetail. Mid-season whitetail to me around here where we live is one that's preparing for the rut. That's when I really like to key in on scrapes. Scrapes coming off of bedding. They lay them scrapes down for a reason, and that's to let every other buck know in the neighborhood, hey, this is my area, Scrapes mixed in with still with a little bit of food. I mean, you can't never go wrong with food. Deer's got to eat. They're just like me and you. They're going to eat, and they're going to sleep. But mid-season, I really key in on scrapes, and I will hunt rubs, especially a long rub line. Deer trails with rub lines, deer trails with scrapes. I mean, that's what I think of when I think of mid-season here in Alabama. Mid-season in other parts of the country is going to be different. Sometimes mid-season in other parts of the country, you're already past the rut stage, and our rut here in Alabama is kind of late. It's a little bit later than other states. Although, once a deer's horns are hardened on his head and he's got the velvet rubbed off, he can start breeding right then, as long as the doe's ready. I mean, he has to wait for her to be ready before he can do anything. What else you got?
And that was the next take on the ruts. You pretty well.
Talk about the rut.
Yeah.
Well, the rut's my favorite time to hunt. And it's hard to really key on buck bedding areas. You don't really want to try that. I usually try the doe bedding areas. I like to hunt in the hills come rut. A lot of times you gotta your doe beds up here and off to the sides. Those bucks will run those ridges and run back and forth across, trying to smell those does. They'll run right across the top and they'll smell the does off on the sides of each ridge. And a lot of times I head for the hills when it comes to rut, and it's paid off a lot like that. You catch a buck cruising hunting a doe, or sometimes you'll catch a doe with a buck. But beds, you pretty much mark them off like buck beds. They're still going to eat. The main thing is hunting doe bedding areas during the rut. Kill some big bucks like that. What else you got?
Okay, the next topic is rubs.
Rubs.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a lot you can tell by a rub. Main thing is point of direction. Deer rubs the side of this tree on this side, he's headed that way. If he rubs the other side, we'll use this bottle. He goes through there, he rubs the side of this tree, he's going that way. If he's got more than one, he's showing you right where he's going. If those are headed toward a field over there, more than likely he's doing that in the evening. And that there tells you the time of day to be there and harvest that deer. If they're on the other side, maybe headed that way, rubbed on this side, they're going that way. Multiple rubs headed in a rub line. Just follow those rubs. If they lead into a thicket, you know he done that in the morning when he was going to bed. Rub size, you know, deer that rub down below the knee to me is sometimes that's a young buck most of the time. Especially, I mean, I've seen spikes rub trees that big and they rub them low, right above, you know, below the knee. It doesn't really matter the size sometimes. I've killed big bucks rubbing trees big as your finger, and I've killed them rubbing big as your arm, big as your leg. But, you know, I like to go by height of the rub. That's the thing that I do. If I catch a rub waist high, I'm really going to be in there after that deer. Especially when they'll twist the tree down. That's, oh man, that's awesome right there. And you find one that's been rubbed and just twisted. That's a telltale sign of a big buck. And sometimes a big buck, you can see where he's rubbed up inside of the tree. He'll rub it chest high. You can see where his tines has hit way up there. And that kind of gives you an idea of how tall his horns are. Rubs are a good thing if you know how to use them. What you got?
Okay, scrapes.
Scrapes. Me, I'm talking about scrapes. I'm not gonna. Early in the year, deer will go through the woods and they'll just make scrapes. Mostly young deer. And there'll be scrapes like this big. You'll see them sometimes that big, this big, that big, this big. Just not real big scrapes, but between this and then this. And they'll be everywhere. And those are usually young bucks. I don't hunt those scrapes. The scrape I hunt, when I hunt a scrape, it's going to be, I mean, at least 3 foot by 3 foot, something. I like the biggest scrape you can find. That's the deer you want to hunt. And a lot of times you'll find these right where he's going into bed. He'll make one humongous scrape. And sometimes those are called community scrapes, where you have more than one giant buck rubbing or scraping in the same scrape there. They go through there and scrape, and they'll squat on, pee on their hocks and let the urine run into the scrape. And that's telling every other buck in the neighborhood, hey, this is mine. This is my area. As far as a doe goes, peeing in a scrape, I've never seen a doe work a scrape. I've never seen a doe pee in a scrape. If anybody has, send me footage, because I've never seen it. I've never seen a doe make a scrape. I just don't believe that a doe walks up and pees in a scrape and buck hangs around that area sniffing his scrapes looking for a doe. Like that just don't happen. That's not true. It's not how it works. That's my belief, and other people's got other opinions. But hunt those big scrapes. That's what you want to do. What you got?
Touched on bedding a little bit. Let's talk more about that.
Bedding. Let me go back one more thing on scrapes. You get out around these fields at night, and Buck will go out there on them scrapes. He'll make some big scrapes around some of his feeding areas, especially in fields. A lot of times he'll have a licking branch coming down, and he'll stand up there and apply his forehead scent all in that licking branch, and they'll actually put that licking branch in their mouth and they'll suck on that branch and adding all kind of scent. And he'll play in his scrape right there that he's got made. I mean, that's his baby. He's gonna take care of it. What was you just saying? Let's talk about what?
Bedding.
Bedding. Bedding is the main thing. A lot of times you take a doe. We'll talk about doe beds first. I guess you could split them up. She'll lay right here, and say there's 5 does. There'll be one here, there'll be one right here, there'll be one over here. They'll lay in like a circle, and they'll be all different directions, looking like this, and that's how a doe pretty much beds. And bucks, early in the season, there'll be 4 or 5 young bucks hanging around one big daddy, you know, and he uses those young deer about the same way does uses each other. He'll bed down and they'll bed out around him up that way, scattered out, kind of like you walk into a buck bedding area, you may jump a spike. The next deer that jumps may be a 6-pointer. The next deer that jumps may be a small 7-pointer, whatever. And then the further you get into that bedding area, the further you get toward Big Daddy. And when you jump Big Daddy, you'll know it, because Big Daddy most times don't come back. Those other bucks will. But I've had luck hunting beds. Actually, I've had luck jumping deer and then coming back and killing them in their beds. Walk in the woods and you know you're in a bedding area. You're walking through there, all of a sudden you jump a good buck. And you're like, wow, you know, that was a good one. I wish I hadn't jumped him up. You know, that's fine. Go back about a week later with a good wind. Approach that bed from downwind and set up on that bed. I killed some good deer like that. Killed one really nice 8-pointer, 130-inch 8-pointer doing that. Kicked him out of his bed. Actually, my friend jumped him twice, and he told me about it. And later on that year, I just was walking through that same area and I jumped that buck. And I was like, man, this deer is crazy. He's been jumped 3 times and he's still bedding in the same spot. Well, he really liked that spot's what it was. So I went in there a week later and I circled that bedding area from downwind, and I caught that dude going and getting his bed, and was successful and harvested. It was a nice buck. You got anything else?
Okay. Tracks. Buck and doe tracks.
You really can't tell, to me, the difference between a buck and a doe track except for the size. Some people say, you know, the bucks always have dew claws. Well, a running deer can take and it can make it look like a really, really big buck when it's not. It can be actually a doe. But I like to hunt where I see deer just regularly walking. You can take and actually get a good estimate on what size their tracks are. I like to see a track about 3.5, 4 inches long, you know, just see them walking, and they're more heavier, so their toes is going to split out. It's like a little doe track. You got that, a big buck track, his toes will spread out. When you see that spread, and then sometimes he'll leave his dew claw impressions, you know that's a big one. Tracks is good to see what point of direction deer are heading in. But don't get overwhelmed by tracks. Remember, deer have 4 legs, so you can see a lot of tracks. And I remember hunting some tracks one year, and I kept seeing these 2 does. This old clay road was just solid, covered in tracks. I was like, man, this place is infested with deer. So I was sitting back off that road, and I'd see 2 does. I'd go hunt it in the evening, same road, I'd see 2 does. I went and talked to my dad. I was like, man, there's just too many tracks to be 2 deer. He said, son, that's 8 legs walking through there, you know, twice a day. That's 16 tracks. So tracks can fool you too. You have to watch. But 3.5 to 4.5 inch track that's just perfectly laid there, that ain't a running track and the toes are spread, you hunt that track. You follow that deer, see where he's going, hunt that deer. That's the deer you want to hunt. You got anything else?
How do you hunt with the wind?
Well, when I hunt in the morning, I'm approaching a bedding area. I'm approaching from downwind. Downwind means the wind in your face from where you're headed. That bedding area's over there. Get that wind in your face. If you have to make a circle, I don't care what you have to do. If you have to walk on the other side or drive around over here, keep that wind in your face and approach them deer. You cannot do nothing about what's behind you. The wind's blowing that way, deer come from that way, they smell you or whatever. You can't help that. There's nothing you can do about it. Walmart doesn't sell nothing either that's going to help that. What will help that is just keep the wind in your face a lot. You know there's a deer trail here, the wind's blowing this way, you hunt right here. You know, keep the wind in your face, always. Always keep the wind in your face. The deer will use different winds the same as we do. So it's kind of just, that's the main thing to killing a deer. That is the number one thing on earth of killing a deer. It ain't corn piles, it ain't cameras, it ain't, you know, who's got the biggest truck. It's not a measuring contest. It's the wind, every bit of it, all the wind. And I don't see any way around the wind except being downwind or crosswind from whatever you're trying to do. I like to hunt downwind in the morning and crosswind in the evening if I can. Anything else?
What's the average age of a deer you like to hunt?
And I hunt, I don't really worry about their age that much. I look at their racks, you know, if they're a decent deer, I'm going to take them, especially on public land. You know, a 2.5, 3.5-year-old buck would be a good sized deer, and I'm going to take them. I mean, I got 3 tags here in Alabama every year. I try to save my last tag for a really, really good one. And but I mean, if there's a big buck, I'm going to take him. I'm going to set up to kill that big one. And if a 3.5-year-old comes through there, or a 2.5-year-old, a younger deer that I want to shoot, I'm going to shoot them. I don't care. You know, I like to eat deer. You don't eat their horns. They sure are pretty with big horns, but you know, you gotta think, do you want to eat deer? Do you want to be successful? Do you want to harvest deer? You got some guys that go out here and I ain't shooting nothing but a 5.5-year-old buck. He's gonna at least have to be 150, 160 inches before I shoot this deer. And they'll sit there for 2 or 3 years before they even see a deer to kill. And some guys are successful at that, but I just ain't never been lucky enough to, you know, like I said, it's luck. Some of those 2.5, 3.5-year-old deer, they look pretty good. I'll take a 5.5 if I see them, but, you know, that's a different day and different story. But, you hunt what you want to hunt. If your friend's making fun of you, if you're shooting spikes and 4-pointers, you make fun of him because he ain't got no meat in his freezer. Or maybe he does. Maybe he's one of these guys that goes out and kills 350-inch deer every year. I don't know. But whatever I see that gets my heart pumping, that's what I take. And my daddy always told me, you know, son, take what the woods give you. And I've always kind of did that. I mean, if I see spikes and 4-pointers and little 6-pointers, I'm not shooting them unless I need some meat. But I moved on to a different stage in my life and my hunting career, and I'm trying to kill bigger bucks now. Let the little ones go. Let somebody else have them. But it's meat first. Once I get meat, then horns.
Okay, last question of the evening is hunting over bait. As of last year, you could now hunt over bait. What's your thoughts on that?
That's in the state of Alabama. They legalize hunting over bait. Oh, man. I don't want to make anybody mad with that. Hunting over bait. mean, we have some private land. We don't just hunt all public land. I do have some private where we put out some corn. We try to help the younger kids, younger guys, people just starting out hunting, maybe harvest a small buck or whatever walks in there. And to me, hunting over bait, the first time that you hunt over that bait is going to probably be the best time. I mean, if you're trying to kill big giant bucks like 170, 80-inch deer, hunting over bait, a lot of times the deer's going to go nocturnal. And that don't mean that he just going to sleep all day, and then when it gets dark, he's going to just pop out. But to me, I'm going to have to explain it a different way. That's a hard question. You asked me that earlier today. I don't want to hunt over bait. I put it that way. But if you want to hunt over bait, that's you.
Do you think it can be done effectively?
I just don't. Unless you had one of those big feeders that don't have a motor on it, don't do all that clinging and clanging, had the little pipes coming out, and you could put 600 to 800 pounds in this big feeder maybe, and the deer could walk up and eat out of it and didn't have to smell human scent all the time, and you left it alone without going in there every week checking your trail camera, it could be done effectively then. But just cause you're feeding corn, don't think that's all deer's eating. They eating briars, they eating beans, and they eating acorns, and they got a lot of stuff that they eat that don't come out of the feeder. But if I do hunt over some feed, I like to just scatter it out on the ground and just leave it there. Go out right before it rains, let it rain on it, wash the scent off. Maybe the deer find it a day or two. And I like to put my kids like that, let them harvest a doe or a young buck, and we've been successful in that way. But as far as me shooting a deer actually eating the feed, I've never done it. I've never been lucky enough. They just don't work for me. If it works for you, that's awesome. But it's never worked for me. And I don't really want to do that. So, but I ain't against anybody that does either. So, but is that all?
That's all for today.
Alrighty. Well, we appreciate you watching our video. Like the video and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. And like I said, we're going to do a lot of good things this year. We're going to have some filmed hunts. We got some promotions. It's going to be a good thing. We're going to have fun. That's the main thing. And always remember, God loves you.